This sounds like one of those things that they're talking about that make you look like embarrassed or something. But that was a straight factual statement. This is what they want people to think is stupid.
Well, like he says, Bev and only deals with surveying, and that surveying is 3D. Reality is 3D. We've always said that. We definitely are not 2D Earth. Whereas...
No, I'm not either.
What Brian's saying here... I'll go one more. Let's listen.
Oh, go ahead, Brian. Well, 1 second. When Bev is referencing measurements, he's purely focusing on surveying. Said the last time I was on, surveying deals with 3 dimensions, right? Length, breadth, and depth. Whereas when it comes to celestial navigation and aerospace, we're only dealing with length and breadth, not dealing with depth. They're not dealing with elevation changes. So when Bev speaks about measurements, he's only speaking about them from a surveying point of view, which will be elevation changes.
Yeah, it's 3D. Reality, yes.
But he's still contradicting himself because he's talking about this angle measurements on vertical plane. They measure by that elevation changes because these stars have different angles, so he is measuring elevation changes.
Yeah, elevation profiles measure elevation changes of the land. But that's the 2D plane that they're working in.
Elevation changes. So when Bev speaks about celestial navigation and aerospace, we're only dealing with length and breadth, dealing with depth. They're not dealing with elevation changes.
Right, yeah, so they're not dealing with elevation changes.
So this is nonsense.
Yeah, I think it's nonsense. I don't think he understands what he's talking about. Because of course they're dealing with elevation changes. Unless you're talking about like a map. But even maps have contour lines on them. So
he's thinking about just putting his arms out and pretending he's an aeroplane, I think.
I'm struggling to try and work out what he is, right? It's one of those moments where you have to believe that he's talking nonsense because I can't make any sense out of it. And if Brian wants to come and try and help us make sense out of it, then be my guest, pop in, come and have a chat. But I can't make any sense out of why Brian's saying this. That reality is 3D and that's what Bev's talking about, but they're not talking about that.
And by the way, this is 2D he's talking about is not horizontal. He's talking about vertical plane, not horizontal plane. So it is 2D, but not horizontal. But only horizontal proves flat Earth. Vertical disproves flat Earth. Complete nonsense. He's arguing nonsense, against himself.
Yeah, that's what's some of the magic tricks within this is that these guys have developed this paracosm that they've lived in, where they just get used to talking nonsense to each other. And I think that's why Nathan Oakley hands this off to somebody else, because, he can't really talk the nonsense because it doesn't really make any sense to him. So he hands it off to somebody else, but when that somebody else is also talking nonsense, this is what you get left with. It's mad.
So when Bev speaks about measurements, he's only speaking about them from a surveying point of view, which will be elevation changes.
No, Brian, right? Well, the thing is, when you have a point, you locate it on the horizontal. Right, that's your X and your Y, your grid position. You then can give that a position on the vertical datum also. There's a location marker and then it gets placed upon the vertical datum also, that position. That's the way it works in reality. That's what surveyors do. We know that. We know how these measurements are taken. We know how the benchmarks are transposed from one position to another. And Nathan should too. How difficult.
It was okay when I said to him, I said, a bed was there, and I said, there's no better book.
And this again, right? Listen to the words that Brian uses. It's pretty sad, Brian. Pretty sad. Right? But you might have got the impression that he said it to me. He didn't. He said it to Elderbear. And I was in the room. But he wasn't addressing it to me. But now he seems to be addressing it as though he was addressing it to me, although he just said it in the presence of. But listen to what he said.
There's no better, more correct way to describe the Earth than flat.
Not flat. It's more. It's a little. It doesn't give you much more information, but it gives you more information than flat. Because flat is a lie, and not flat is vague, but it's not a lie. And we are live. Welcome everyone. It's Wednesday. Why are we live? Don't know. I haven't got a clue. But it is Wednesday. We are live. Hump day. There is no F in hump. We all know that. Sort of going over the topics that can't be touched about and talked about, because we had a little clip. Nathan Oakley did a thing yesterday with Planet Peterson, who was going over a thing with Bob, who Bob was, he's back around again. And Nathan Oakley gave us like an agreement. He sort of seemed to be saying to Bob that you can't really do much geometrically with just an angle. Do you want to hear it? Let me get it. Let me see if I can get it on the thing.
Angular size.
I'll get it for you guys. And I'll get it for you guys on. Screen change, yeah. Right, here we go. This is a video that has been taken from Nathan Oakley, but I think it just goes to show how non-hypocritical. I mean, Nathan Oakley couldn't possibly be a hypocrite, could he? After telling people to unsubscribe from us because we were stupid, because we said that you can do nothing with an angle. But, I mean, listen to this. This is Nathan Oakley talking to Bob.
Angular size won't give you distance. You need to either know the distance or know its actual size. That's what you need. And you don't have either, Bob, do you?
And it was actually pretty accurate.
No. It won't give you anything. There's no accuracy by way of just looking at the size of something by way of its angle. That doesn't give you anything. You either need to know its actual size to begin with or its actual distance.
How do you draw a circle with an angle? There you go. So we can rewind that back. If we just want to make sure what Nathan Oakley's saying. He's telling Bob off because Bob's just got an angle. He's got nothing else. And hear it again.
Angular size won't give you distance. You need to either know the distance or know its actual size. That's what you need. And you don't have either, Bob, do you?
And it was actually pretty accurate.
No. It won't give you anything. There's no accuracy by way of just looking at the size of something by way of its angle. That doesn't give you anything. You either need to know its actual size to begin with or its actual distance.
How do you draw? So there you go. Nathan Oakley agrees. You can do fuck all with an angle. Seems he does understand. It seems like he makes the argument anyway. So, well done, Nathan. Well done. Nicely owned up to. Now, anytime you want to go back to start that conversation about exactly what you say you're doing, now we've agreed that, you know, the statement with just an angle and no additional information, we cannot determine or conclude anything about geometric properties or relationships. Or you could go with the street poetry version that goes more like, you can do fuck all with an angle. All agreed by Nathan Oakley. So thank you, Nathan. I guess you'll be telling everybody to resubscribe. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe it doesn't work for Bob. Maybe there's nobody to watch us now anyway. Maybe that's why Nathan did it. Because when Nathan now comes out with this stuff that he's told everybody to unsubscribe from us for, they'll be none aware of what he's been saying. They won't be aware of the contradiction that Nathan Oakley's earlier said. They won't be able to watch any of this stuff that we do when we point out how hypocritical Nathan Oakley is. Like we've done with the Black Swan, we pointed out, mind your P's and Q's. Flat earthers still keep doing it. I think it's one of the biggest tricks perpetrated upon flat earthers of the 20th century, I'd say. That would taking on a fallacious argument to tell everybody. This one at the minute, though, is definitely one of the biggest lies told to flat earthers, to just tell people it's measured flat. But I guess that's what people want. You want stupid flat earthers to point fingers at? Well, you just tell them. Tell them to go out there and tell lies to people. And then you'll have plenty of flat earthers to point fingers at. It'll be dead easy to see them. They're the ones that say it's measured flat. And you'll say to them, what do you mean? And they won't have a clue. Like Nathan Oakley, like any of the other people, nobody's got a clue how to actually reply to, how do you measure it flat? Sounds a little bit ridiculous. If anybody was listening beforehand, you got to listen to the flat earthers mute me when we came to the conclusion about how it was actually measured not flat. So Nathan Oakley, play it again. Listen to this. This is Nathan Oakley, and then a clip of Nathan Oakley talking to me and what Nathan Oakley said to me, because I said you can do fuck all with an angle, and he got really upset. I did say it to Ruhif before I said it to Nathan, but for the same reasons. People think that they can perform miracles with angles and then use them geometrically, and you know, like, it's all different now anyway. Listen.
Angular size won't give you distance. You need to either know the distance or know its actual size. That's what you need. And you don't have either, Bob, do you?
And it was actually pretty accurate.
No. It won't give you anything. There's no accuracy by way of just looking at the size of something by way of its angle. That doesn't give you anything. You either need to know its actual size to begin with or its actual distance.
How do you draw a circle with an angle?
Understand? It was an argument against his assertion that you can do nothing with an angle. You can. You can save your life at sea by measuring that angle to the star. Communication of an angle that you've measured. That's not doing something with it, right, Bev? You fucking retard, you spastic, you dumbo, you thick fuck.
I did concede.
Shut up, Owen!
Not much.
You can do fuck all with an angle.
There you go. Thank you very much, SE, for your help there. But I think Nathan Oakley said that SE doesn't think about that anymore. I don't know. I've just done my thing. Right, there we go.
But essentially, Nathan Oakley said to Bob the same thing that
I said to Nathan
you,
Oakley.
yes,
Yeah.
so that you cannot tell anything about size of an object if you don't know at least distance.
Yeah, with
So-
just the angle,
Yeah.
you've not really got a lot. I know, but he took it slightly differently, didn't he? So, I mean, I don't know whether that's like Nathan Oakley's forgot that he did that with me, or whether he's just a blatant hypocrite, you know, just argumentative. It's hard to tell. What I do know is that people like Nathan Oakley and QE are going around. I mean, today, we'll get this over before we start the top left stuff. Today, Nathan Oakley went over to another server that I've been asked to leave because they didn't want me posting about the videos that we do and all of that, because it triggers the flat earthers and the globe earthers alike. So Nathan Oakley goes over there to this Earth Awakenings server, Discord server, and somebody in there asked him about how it was measured flat. Now, I don't know who this person was, never heard him before in my life. But Nathan Oakley decides to call him a Bevite. Just out of the blue. Because he's asked him about it's not measured flat. It just, you know, asking him about that. So it appears now that coming very soon, Nathan Oakley and the Globe guys are going to team up. So they both agree that it's measured flat. The only people that don't agree or that question the measured flat is Bevites. So if you ask them how they've measured it flat, you might be considered a Bevite. Now, if you've listened to us, you might know what that is. If you've not listened to us, and you've been listening to Nathan Oakley, what's a Bevite? What does that mean? What sort of shit is Nathan Oakley pushing out there? There was 100 people watching. They heard him call somebody a Bevite. Don't even know who this
Good
person
afternoon.
was. Good afternoon, Rob.
I am not a Bevite.
Well, apparently Nathan Oakley's
What?
just running round calling people Bevites, maybe even
Yeah, but
Bevitards.
I say a lot of the same things you say. That doesn't make me a Bevite. It makes me somebody who likes to tell the truth.
Well, soon enough, anybody that questions Nathan Oakley about measuring the earth flat will be a Bevite. Not a glober, not an anti-flat earther, just a Bevite. So, I mean, if that, I don't know what that is. It's just, it seems to me, just somebody asking questions. Nathan Oakley's saying the earth is measured flat. And people are saying, really? How do you do that? Well, That'll get you labelled a Bevite by Nathan Oakley on a public stream he's doing to his entire audience after telling everybody not to watch us. So that's where we're at now. I quite feel I came into this because I felt sorry for flat earthers. I felt sorry because they're only asking questions, or so I thought. So why should they get ridiculed for asking questions? But now it appears that they're doing more than just asking questions. They're actively, slandering people, slandering groups of people, just walking around, stating stupid shit, telling people to repeat that stupid shit that they're saying. And if anybody goes against it, well, you can label them some other name. So you don't have to ask those questions or anything. Terrible. But that's what we're in. We're in 2024. Society's crumbling, and flat earthers aren't really helping. So anyway, let's get round to the top left idea. The idea of top left.
Hey, can I just quickly disagree and say that I'm living my best life right now and everything's going great for me? I don't know. I have to disagree. I think life's great.
Right, well, I would say my life's okay, but I can see the way that society's crumbling. People are being affected by this. Seriously affected by all sorts of things. And when people start lying to you, if you don't have a good enough framework of friends and stuff, you can get led down some pretty dark paths. I know I would have been tested. I hadn't got the friends and people around me that I have. These people would have probably have driven me mad, because they keep saying ridiculous things. Now, you can say it's funny, but after 4 or 5 years, when people are still trying to tell you that you don't know what a straight line is, then there's something going on. They're saying the same things. They say that we don't understand what straight is. We don't know what an angle is. We haven't looked into Euclid. We don't know anything about mathematics. We haven't studied logic. Well, we have. We've done loads of stuff. We've got arguments, we've got tests, we've got proofs, we've got all sorts of stuff. And these people that claim all of this stuff, they haven't got half of the stuff that we have. They don't know what we've been doing. I don't know what they've been doing. But I can tell you that they've not done any of the stuff that we've done. So if any time Nathan Oakley, QE, any of these guys, any of these people that we're talking about, if they want to come and have a chat, if they want to get me to come over and have a chat, fine. Let's do it. Let's talk. I've got loads of stuff to go over. Loads of topics to go over. Yeah, that's right, Boris. They do. They make you doubt your own thoughts. But if you don't have proofs, rock solid proofs there in that position, then these people could do some serious damage to people's minds. Luckily for me, I do have proofs. I have logic to fall back on. But if I can imagine if you don't have those proofs or that logic, then you could be seriously lost in this. You could be fooled by their gaslighting. And the way that they sort of use intimidation and all of that sort of stuff. I think the only people that are left in this arena have got to be pretty strong mentally, or absolutely mad. You make your mind up which one you are. So, let's go back to the top left. This morning I woke up to see that McToon and Fight the Flat Earth have kicked off what they call Top Left awards. Now these awards, I don't know what everybody thinks. I see it slightly different. But I don't want to sway anybody. But I guess, I mean, that's what we're here for now, right? The way I see this, top left, McToon and Fight the Flat Earth, because, you know, they're sort of in it together. They're the top guys within this globe proving thing, or, you know, they call themselves, Frantic Bunny is debunkers. Well, that's what they do. So McToon and Fight the Flat Earth have decided, they've been doing it for a few years now, that they make this show Top Left. Now, what Globers have to do, the debunkers, or as Rachie said earlier, anyone really, anyone can enter this, is you have to make a video nominating a particular person who you consider top left. Right? Now, obviously, McToon and Fight the Flat Earth are doing this because what that gets to do, it sees who's within the YouTube community that's willing to enter this arena where they ridicule flat earthers. So for the next year, there will be a group of however many people submit videos. They will be known by Fight the Flat Earth and McToon, and they'll be able to conglomerate or whatever between all of these things. And this is the team. Now, will be for the next year or so. This will be the solid team of people that get put up for debates, and, you know, they start putting videos out and they promote them. McToon and Fight the Flat Earth promote all of the people within this arena, and they work together to get their YouTube views up and their clicks and their likes. So what's going on here at the minute is these guys are touting for their YouTube business for the next year or whatever. Now, alongside that, these guys are picking flat earthers. Now, this is going to be the videos that get pumped out to the public. Now, they're going to get more clicks and likes, and they're going to make it onto the algorithm because they're within this group of the Globe guys. So they want to make these flat earthers look ridiculous because that helps them. They don't need to do much in the video. The more ridiculous the flat earther is, the easier it is for them to make videos and stuff like that. So they're making money through clicks and likes off the flat earthers. And the flat earthers usually make some sort of video or something. You know, they'll do something in order for these guys to pick up on the flat earthers. That's what's going on at the minute. So I went for a conversation to the flat earthers 24/7, like most of the other groups or whatever that there is around here. They've kicked us out. We can't go and type in many places. We can't talk to many people because they don't want us there. They've actively told us to not go round. They silence us, they mute us, they kick us out. So we don't get chance to have conversations with people that much. But we can go out to a few places. So we went out to the politics server this morning to ask them, what do the flat earthers think about this? Because these flat earthers that are in these rooms, obviously, they get fielded questions, but they don't ever seem to make it onto these lists. They're not popular enough. And they also don't seem to know anything about McToon or Fight the Flat Earth or any of the flat earthers that get put up for these nominations. It's rather a weird scenario where flat earthers don't want to acknowledge their other flat earthers, but at the same time, the globe guys are all getting together. They're amassing their troops together against the flat earthers, and the flat earthers don't care. They're just trying to be divisive and break everybody up into little groups. So the flat earthers seem like they haven't got a clue. They're not a team. They're all just doing their own thing, and the globe guys are all picking out these crazy flat earthers that say really stupid things and lifting them up and saying, look, here, pedestal for you. This is what flat earthers are like. And then when the flat earthers get asked questions about these flat earthers that they've seen, they say, I didn't say that. Because flat earth has turned into this double-sided thing. Everybody has their own flat earth. It's very much like the dogmatic globe. Because they're not real, these things, everybody has their own idea of what they are. The dogmatic globe has a given dogma, but because it's so nonsensical, everybody has a picture of the dogmatic globe in their mind that they've been given. It's just a picture. Bears no relation to reality at all. And apparently now we're seeming like the flat earth also. Bears no relation to reality. Because nobody knows what flat is. I've been getting told that the argument that we make that says the earth is not flat, that apparently is a straw man. The actual argument that we made is being called a straw man because nobody makes that argument. Well, I did. I made the argument. It's not a straw man. That's the argument. There was no argument before. So you can't make an argument and then somebody say, that's a straw man. Because who's saying it's a straw man? Flat earthers? You think they're saying it's a straw man? Or the globe earthers? I mean, possibly it's just the Flat Earth Society. Perhaps they all just say it's a straw man. All of them. The ones that don't want to acknowledge the actual arguments. Anyone else got any opinions on the idea of this top left? Where there's YouTube channels just ridiculing. I think that's what they're doing, ridiculing. Dunning-Kruger, I think that's what Rachie said. Where people just sort of point fingers at each other. Well, you know, they single out somebody and point fingers at them and say, ha ha ha, Dunning-Kruger. Everybody laugh at it. That's the way it goes. YouTube community.
Yeah, it seems like both sides have a similar kind of, well, say both sides. Nathan Oakley's got a thing. It's about this measure the Earth flat. Is like he said today that for 10 years he's been looking for something that he hasn't found, and so he had, you know, in a sense, he hasn't had any proof or anything. And now he's settled on the slogan, the earth is measured flat. And he says, you know, so this is for the new people. He says, so if I came into this, when I first came into this, if somebody had said to me straight out, the earth is measured flat, bish, bash, bosh, then he would have been in a whole different place, he feels. So this is to be delivered to the new people so that they don't, they just immediately think, well, it's been measured flat. Here's somebody with some kind of word salad that sounds convincing because we don't know anything about it. We don't know anything about angles or celestial navigation or anything. We just say it confidently. That's all you've got to do. And that's where you start from. So, that's a mantra for the new people who come in. And likewise, this top left thing will also present an image for anybody new coming into it and searching for any information. If they get hooked up in it somewhere and they think, oh, we're going to have a look at that, then that's what they'll be delivered. This kind of, because they'll get pushed to the algorithms. This is the Simon Dans. You go look, go on YouTube. You know what comes up first. It's certainly not Bev, is it? It's not, well, if you're unsure, go and have a look over here. It's the stuff that gets pushed by Simon Dan, MC2, Fight the Flat Earth, those kind of people. That's so they have the possibility to present that image to new people. And anybody, if go like I went looking, what are these flat Earth guys talking about? Is it sensible? Has it got anything in it, or are they just as mad as everybody tells them they are? And, if you find those things, just videos of people doing, nonsensical things, then that's just the same. They're both serving the same purpose of giving new people nonsense, whilst the old people who are hanging around are just quite happy, it seems, to deliver the nonsense. And if you ask them about it, well, that doesn't make sense. How did you do that? Then they just attack you and shut you down. And, like Bev said, it's called you Bevtards or Bevites, because it's like put people in this group who we'll vilify. We can point at them. We can take out all our frustration and anger on these people and laugh at them and shut them down any way you see them. Oh, did you see that guy talking? Oh, yeah, he's a Bevite. They're talking nonsense because somebody told them that's what you have to think. That's how you have to approach certain people. And so, it seems like it's the same thing. Same thing, but, you can't ask them any questions or point that out, how do you feel about these? So that's what we said this morning to the flat Earth guys, or any guys in there, but it's mostly the flat Earth guys. Well, how do you feel about this being the image that represents you? Well, they don't care. They don't care. They just said it's nonsense that these people don't have any power in their value in their lives, but they are having the arguments or the discussions, and from those things, some guy goes off with, the Earth's measured flat, does a little video about it, and it's nonsense anyway, but makes it even more nonsense, and that's going to get picked up and just projected outwards. Not for the people who've been around for a few years and know what's going on, or well, maybe they don't. They don't, obviously. So it just feels like some kind of propaganda from both sides of the aisle here, really.
They were saying
dare to ask the question.
They were saying that the winner of last year was won by a new entry, a new guy who invited that CC. He nominated that CC, the guy that was making a coffee. Like that was he won it last year. That CC guy. I mean, I've still never heard of him. Never talked to him.
No, me neither.
Never met him in any room. They can pull people from anywhere. TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. It doesn't matter whether you know him or not. You probably don't know him. A lot of the people you think, who's that? And you've got people like Bob and Blue Marble. Like, where's Rumpus? He's gone. All of these old school guys. And the Flat Earthers. Who's the Flat Earthers? I mean, what's happened to them? Who are they? Where are they? Where's the big group of Flat Earthers? don't seem to be that many around anymore. Not the big YouTube ones, the ones who go on, there's only a few really, isn't there?
Yeah. I mean, the ones you regularly see, well, the ones you see all the time, defending the flat earth in a debate or arguing for something. It's only a handful of people.
Yeah.
It's the same handful of people, facing the same handful of people on the other side too. It's just, and they're all debating, say like on modern day debate, they're debating all sorts of things, OnlyFans, religious things, morals, ethics, all sorts of subjects. So it's not just the flat earth, but it's a whole kind of lifestyle in a way. This is what we do. We debate anything, take anybody on any kind of.
Well, I've been in this arena for quite a while, right? Ever since I came, in all of the rooms that I've ever been in to actually talk to people, it's always been the same voices. They'll always come around. They'll always be the loudest voices in the room.
Yeah.
And they don't make videos. So they've got no chance of being in any of these top left things. But they are the voice of flat earth, at least from what I've heard. Like Sasha that we just heard there. It's been going for years. Yeah. There's loads of them. There's Miggy. There's Jedi. They're superstars within this, but they'll never get mentioned in this top left.
Can I mention something?
Rob Keane. Nobody will ever give Rob Keane a top left spot, will they, Rob?
No, because they can't embarrass me. I do all that on my own.
Do you think it's about the embarrassment? That's sort of half of the thing I was trying to get out of the flat earthers.
Well, I just wanted to say, like this morning, I guess you put that premiere out today. I was listening to it, and as soon as you asked them, how was it measured flat? Like when you actually tried to stick them on that question, that's when they muted you.
Yeah.
When you tried to, because they were starting to understand that the horizontal baseline that they were creating is not the Earth. They started to click on that, and then they just shut you down. Like, they know that the Earth itself is not flat. Their tools create a flat for them to work from. But they want to call that tool the Earth now.
Yeah.
And they can't. And they got caught.
It's not going to change, though, is it?
Nope, because they're 2D Earthers. The celestial navigation shit is all two-dimensional. So, because you look at lights in the sky, ridiculous. What I was telling Glovers 2 years ago, stop looking at lights in the sky and thinking it proves that your floor's flat. Stupid.
Yeah, well, I mean, the horizontal's always been there. So it can't be like Nathan Oakley 2024 starts pointing at horizontals and saying, look, the Earth's flat. I mean, that's a little bit ridiculous, isn't it? He's got to be having a laugh. Now, I haven't watched any of this sort of stuff, with Nathan, with Fight the Flat Earth and McToon. But from what I saw, they didn't mention him. Now, if McToon and Fight the Flat Earth are doing a top left thing, and they leave out QE and Nathan Oakley, who've perpetrated, I think, the biggest fraud to flat earthers in the 20th century by getting them to take on a fallacious argument and, leaving them in the position that, they don't know what they can do with an angle. They've got a fallacious argument. And now Nathan Oakley's telling them to go round telling them that the Earth's measured flat. With no reasoning, no explanation of how it's done. Just tell people. It's just the same as doing the thing. Now, I would say, if McToon and those don't go after Nathan Oakley and QE again, then they're the same team. Nathan Oakley and QE are doing a good enough job making the flat earthers look stupid that they don't need
if you repeat a
McToon
lie,
to help them.
if you repeat a lie often enough, people will start believing it.
Yeah, that's what Nathan Oakley's done to all of the people that follow him. Now, whether the people that follow him actually do follow him, or whether they're sort of paid to make it look like people follow him. But if those 100 people are following Nathan Oakley genuinely, then they're being lied to by him. And every time they go out anywhere and say that the Earth's measured flat, they're going to look ridiculous. There will not be one surveyor to help anybody out with this, because that's fucking ridiculous. No matter how much all of the little cronies that Nathan Oakley have. Let me get these things here so we can get this on record. Right. Copy image. Drop it in the live chat. You guys can see this. This is in Nathan Oakley's chat. Over there on thingy, and this is Michael Kahn, one of Nathan Oakley's wrenches. He goes around banning people. He says, wait while my copyright strike is up. Bev's knickers will be in a twist again. That was a bit ago he did that one. And there's another one from today. This is Michael Kahn. They muted me, obviously, for asking or for saying something about the Earth being measured not flat. They call me a liar.
Well,
they obviously slander me by calling me
I thought
a
you were
liar.
trying to get out of them. I thought you were trying to get out of them how it was measured flat. That's what I got. And then all of a sudden you're muted.
I always get muted. They don't like it. And then LVA Paul, Bev, level doesn't mean flat. Laughing face, don't know what that means. Hey Paul, proven. Michael Kahn again says, copyright's nearly up. Get ready, Bev. What do you think Michael Kahn's doing that? What do you think that
Ready
means?
for what?
Yeah.
I have no idea, but it doesn't sound like a very nice thing.
Do you know what the copyright is?
Yeah, when they pulled out your stuff and misrepresented it.
Yeah, well, he just literally copied my stuff and reposted it on his own channel. We retitled it. That was the only thing. He just changed the title of the video. Posted it on his own channel. So that's why he got copyright struck, because he literally took my content. So, but he's saying that that copyright's nearly up. Get ready. What do I have to get ready for?
So he's trying to do that again.
Yeah.
So he's saying that he will do that again.
He's going to copy. Well, I mean, that would be him getting another copyright strike. I mean, how stupid.
Or he's got some content that he's going to put out that's, negative stuff, maybe.
Well, he could do that now.
And he's
like,
okay.
Why does he have to wait until
on.
his copyright strike's done?
Okay,
I don't get it.
His channel was closed because of it.
But this is one of the mods on Nathan Oakley's YouTube channel that's doing this. Seems to be okay for Nathan Oakley to allow his mods to do that. Make your own mind up about what's going on here. whether Nathan Oakley's in doing deals with McToon, or whether, you know, whether Nathan Oakley's got mods that are out there that block you, then slander you, and then copyright your stuff, or, you know, just sort of take your material. Because they're saying they've got it on Odyssey. They've got all of these other platforms where they take all of these videos and just put them out everywhere else. They don't just have one YouTube to do it. They can go to Facebook and Twitter and Rumble. I mean, that's what these people will do. I don't know what Michael Kahn's doing. Like what the idea is, but I mean, it's quite blatant here. Misrepresenting surveyors and then calling me a gatekeeper. I mean, they have their own show, Michael Kahn. So what? Yeah, well, come on. What does people think? What do you think of the, you know, when McToon and Fight the Flat Earth and Planet Peterson and Bob the Science Guy, when they make videos about flat earthers, does that, you know, is that for flat earthers? Because, I mean, I'm not a flat earther, right? I'm not a flat earther. It doesn't bother me if somebody makes a video about other people calling them whatever, right? They called me a flat earther, but only really Blue Marble Science and all of that does the big slander stuff. They don't leave that to Fight the Flat Earth. Although Fight the Flat Earth did do it early on. Red's Rhetoric. You know, they've all had a go slandering me, labelling me, putting me in this group.
I think that they are just trying to make new content from old content. So it is just for money, I think, for drama. It is not about science or debate or whatever. It is just to entertain the same audience in different way, I think. Just for money and subs, etc.
Well, it's pushing a false narrative, I think. That's what's... Because, you know, there's that much nonsense flowing around that it, you know, if you add to it where there might be some sort of truth and just mess it all up into more nonsense, then people will, I don't know, it seems like there isn't much sense being made of anything anywhere anymore. It doesn't take you very long to look and find nonsense. It's everywhere. There's loads of little ways of people tricking other people with words. I guess I'm just, I'm sort of lucky that I did find logic, but it's sort of a curse in a way, because the more logic you know, the more nonsense you see. There's a lot of it. And
Yes,
it becomes even harder to try and make sense out of it.
As you learn logic, you can see, of course, more nonsense around you. And what, for example, my example, in the past, what I thought that is very smart and intelligent, now, because I learned logic, I know that this is just bullshit. But like 20 years ago, it sounded for me like a very wise lecture about something. But now, as I can rewind it, it is just bullshit. But now I know that it is bullshit because now I can process with logic what people say, what they wrote, for example, and I hadn't this ability to spot bullshit before, like 20 years ago, and now I can. So it's benefit. But yes, but if people don't learn logic, they will eat this bullshit again and again. So that's my advice. Learn logic.
Yeah, but if your high priests have handed you logic in the form of a fallacious statement and then told you to go out and tell everybody that's a proof that it just isn't, then it's going to be hard for you to be able to grasp that logic from there on in, isn't it?
Of course, you are right, but I didn't say that you have to learn logic from that kind of people.
So, I'm saying is, once you've already had that initial wrong placed in there, it's hard to overcome that. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, people who are already in this arena, they've already been swayed by their own their baggage that they already come into the conversation with. They've gone a long way with that already.
Yeah, for example, because I listened to this, let's say, debate between Brenda and some guy about existence of God on Jeranism. And, some people may learn logic from Brenda, and in that so-called debate, Brenda said that it is very good to go with infinite regression. It is no problem in logic. So it's just, if someone is learning logic from Brenda, so yes, he will land in that kind of, let's say, aporia quickly. Because if someone thinks that you can do science making infinite regression, so okay. But I don't advise to learn logic from Brenda, because as I pointed out...
Was that like the Brenda trying the ontological argument, or like a rebuttal type thing?
No, it was just a rebuttal to what the opponent said, that because we know that in argumentation you cannot go into infinite regression.
Yeah, but wasn't the debate about the existence or non-existence of God?
Yeah.
So Brenda, I take it, was taking the non-existence of God.
Yes, and by the way, it was very, very, very old and very silly argument that because God is subject, therefore morality is not objective but subjective, and therefore God can create bad things, or so it means that God can be bad. So this is that kind of argumentation which I've heard before. So it is very, 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 very funny that people still nowadays they repeat that kind of argumentation. So from morality, because Brenda thinks that Brenda has his own worldview, what is good and what is bad. So if God doesn't fit to this picture, of course, it cannot be true that God can be that way, because I don't like him. So this is that kind of argumentation in this debate. So very, very silly, but this is what I spotted. I didn't expect that. really, that Brenda could say that stupid thing. So very funny.
Yeah, I didn't watch much of it. I just watched the bit up until I found out that it was about whether God exists or not, and I thought, I don't think I want to hear Brenda talking about whether God exists or not. It just doesn't appeal to me.
But still, you know, the title of this debate was supposedly about that. But arguments from both sides were not about God's existence. Of course, this guy, I cannot remember his name now, sadly. He brought some arguments, but of course, for existence of God. But from Brenda's
Sorry
side,
to
it was
interrupt you, Paper.
okay.
His name is Dustin Nemos.
Okay, Dustin Nemos. Yes, yes. So he brought some, let's say, arguments for God's existence, but really weak, because arguing that God can exist or not because he is good or bad, this is not about God's existence. This is about what God is and how he is. But it is not debating if God is or not. There are two different subjects. People are discussing things that God cannot exist because he would be bad. This is non sequitur. So it doesn't matter. If we argue for bad God or good God, we are talking about existence, not what he is and if he is good or bad. Just if exists or not. There are two different questions. And arguing for existence of God, arguing that he is good or bad, is just non sequitur. It's nonsense. But this is that kind of argumentation Brenda brought to this debate, which is, for me, silly. But okay, this is Brenda.
Well, it's obvious Brenda's got a role, right? Because Brenda's multi-use for debating. See Brenda all over the place. Brenda's talking to Nathan Oakley, and Brenda's doing debates on Jeranism, going out for coffee with Mike and, you know, some young guy. And then Brenda's doing debates about God. Like, pretty knowledgeable sort of person when you think about it. You know, the ability of somebody to have such a wide, varying thing about, you know.
Versatile person, yes,
Yeah.
everywhere, on everything. So, no, but still making these silly statements that you can go into infinite regression. Nothing wrong about that. So, and of course, it is going along modern science, because as, for example, this Michio Kaku said that this is just a guess. So it is we are guessing. So we can go infinitely with this guessing.
Yeah, I've noticed you can't say things about Michio Kaku, right, or anybody else in this arena, really, because people get upset because they didn't say it. So they're not really bothered about what other people said. If you're doing this sort of science thing in, you know, in this arena, you may as well just forget about anything that anybody else ever said when you're dealing with the arena.
Okay, but this is still, he is representative of body of science, modern science. So I'm just bringing this example, what modern science is, and this begging the question and infinite regression or progression is allowed. That's why Brenda says that it is no problem. It is no problem. And of course, it is logical problem, because we know that we cannot go into infinite regression. And even, for example, St. Thomas Aquinas explains why you cannot use infinite regression, because he is repeating Aristotelian proof of existence of God, and in this proof, Aristotelian proof, he is excluding infinite regression in causes. So why you cannot go into infinite regression with causes? And he explains that first we have to deal with this regression, because I have to prove that you cannot use infinite regression, because someone like Brenda could say that you can. So he explains in 3 ways how you cannot use infinite regression, why it is fallacious. But Brenda doesn't know that, so.
Well, I mean, is it about that, or is it just getting lies past people? Because if you can say an untruth, like QE and Nathan with the fallacious modus tollens, right? If you can get away with handing people that lie, then I don't know. Like, does it become a truth? Can you imagine it a truth if, you know, you've pushed it to other people?
Yes, you can, because if you don't know logic, or not very well, you think that this is truth, because every this sophistical argument looks and sounds like truth. That's the trick, because you cannot deceive people by telling them lies, open, blatant lies. You cannot do that, because even stupid person would recognize that he is lied. So it has to look like truth. That's the trick. So, but if you know logic, you can recognize that this argument that looks like logical is illogical or not true. You can verify. But if you cannot verify, then you can be deceived. Yeah. For example, this modus tollens, QE's modus tollens. At first glance, I thought that, yes, this is a good argument. But I processed that more thoroughly, and I spotted that there's something wrong here.
Yeah.
At first glance, it looks perfect. Yeah, of course, it proves that the Earth.
Yeah. If you just kind of not pay attention to the details within the argument, and you just take it at face value, it looks pretty good.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
When they say distance to horizon measurement, kind of throws the argument out. I know what they mean, because there are things that are a measured distance away that aren't the horizon, but that's not a measured distance to the horizon. So why would you say that? Dumb.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have Emma around to say. She went, is that like mind your P's and Q's? Because she saw the P's and Q's within the argument. And that very statement was the one that led me to, well, understand more. That you have to place to your mind. This is a logical argument. The whole idea of this is for you to come up with a proof. Now, for you to be able to come up with that proof, the sure statement, you have to make sure that your P's and your Q's are in order. You've got to make sure that the truth value follows from one to the other. They are a necessary consequence of the antecedent. That all of these steps have to be done just like the scientific method. There's no difference, because this is the order that you will tend to use within formulating your hypothesis for science. Exactly the same procedure. One must follow the other. And we told QE it right at the beginning. Emma told him. They're still making the mistakes today because I don't think that link's been made by people of how vital it is that you must make sure antecedent consequent must follow. Otherwise, it all falls apart. You can't use the logical form to derive a conclusion. It won't mean anything.
Yes, and so, for example, you can not only that you may not spot the fallacy within argument, but sometimes people like Brenda again. It is also old that Brenda thought, maybe he corrected himself by that time, but like 2 years ago or so, Brenda thought that modus ponendo ponens means affirming by affirming. It means that you affirm the same thing. So if you say yes to conclusion or whatever.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. It means that you performed modus ponens. So if you deny, said nah, it means that you are saying modus tollens. Nah. So it is just silly. But yes, so some people just take logic wrongly. They think that they know logic, but they are not. They don't, because they have fallacious understanding of logic. So because they use sophistry in everyday life or debates, let's say. So they can be deceived by their own sophistry. So they think that fallacious argument is correct because they use, as sophists, they use fallacies in every debate. So after some time, they think that it is okay because people are deceived and maybe they are deceiving themselves. So as Rob said, that if you are repeating a lie a long time and many times, people will believe. Yes, but it works the same way to the this giver of these lies, because he starts to believe in his own lies. That's the case. If sophist is using sophistry, let's say for 20 years, it may happen that he will believe in his own lies. So that's the sad end of sophist. It may happen. And I think that people like Brenda are the straight way to do that. Because if Brenda says that it is allowed to use infinite regression in argumentation, it means that he's going mad, really.
Well,
or just believing in his own fallacies.
This is 2024, right? You know, it's pretty obvious that the fallaciousness of everything is going to have to carry through, because these contradictions have to occur. Maybe people aren't aware of it because they're not aware of logic at the minute. But there's far too many contradictions that people are walking around with. And I'm guessing that people don't really like hearing about the contradictions that they're living with.
Yeah, they are living with contradictions in their own minds only, because in real life, in objective reality, which, for example, Brenda doesn't believe, but it is objective reality, they don't exist. So you have to check reality with your thinking. That is Aristotelian definition of truth. So some people don't bother to check if their thinking is going with reality, objective reality. People like Brenda, for example. So they will land with speculation, with fantasy. Because you cannot spot that your thinking is contradictory because if you don't check with principles of reasoning or objective reality, there is no way to spot contradiction. Because how? So that's the side story of people that don't follow logic, nor normal logic, Aristotelian logic, I would say. They are going with some kind of new modern logic, which seems for me somehow illogical. So they will land with contradiction without spotting that this is contradiction or allowing contradiction.
Yeah, I think now it's already been pushed through. And now that we have pointed out the fallacy within it, they just won't be able to accept it being looked at. So I presume Nathan Oakley's just going to go forward with his, he proved that no curvature in, whatever time, Black Swan, leave it at that. I think that's Nathan Oakley from now on in. Don't bother talking about it. Also, for the same as the angle, just don't talk about it. Just block people. Don't field any questions. Make sure that if anybody does say anything about it, call them bevtards or something like that, and then just dismiss them. Go on talking about other things. That's Flat Earth 2024. Make claim. Never respond to any criticism or asking upon verifying the claim that they've made, and then call people names if they ask you. And I don't know how much longer it can go on for, really. How long do you reckon he could do that? Because the questions aren't going to go away. He's not going to find any answer unless somebody else comes up and hands it to him. Can't see anybody doing that.
Last person was Manufactotum, and he was just immediately kicked out. So
yeah,
it's just, this is for now. It cannot be questioned.
Well, he's been talking to Brenda again today. He's been a few more people think they got to ask him the question, but I mean, he's done an after show as well. Don't know. I just point out as well as Bob did turn up with his Shamrock Bank's observatory account, and he said we were talking about Caleb. At least I think that's who he was talking about. He said not anymore. He doesn't. He lost his main channels this week. Presume that must be Caleb. So whether Bob has got his team together and they've done a hit job on Caleb, but it looks like I don't know what he's lost his main channels this week means, whether that's on TikTok or or whatever. But I would imagine for anybody who is a social media type person to lose their main channels would be a pretty big loss. So they may not need to go after him anymore if he's already lost his main channels. But wouldn't that normally make you a bigger celebrity to lose your channels? So good to know that Bob hasn't disappeared anywhere. That's Bob the Science Guy, the maker of the modus tollens flat Earth logic. Shout out to Bob. He's been doing a lot of work out there on Twitter, and he's Bob the Science Guy channel. Anytime Bob would like to come and chat about some flat Earth logic, because we do a lot of logic here. I'm keen to talk to the maker of the modus tollens. I'd like to see whether it was, as some people have stated, a mistake within the writing. Did he really mean modus tollens, or was it just a fallacious argument that Bob was joking about the flat earthers? Hard to tell. Don't know. Could Bob possibly have been serious with the modus tollens?
Or just mocking, yes, flat earthers.
Yeah.
New form of modus tollens.
So we'll have
you never know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like Rachel was saying, this is up for Dunning-Kruger. You know, this top left award. Maybe we could nominate Bob and his flat earth logic for this Dunning-Kruger top left thing. Because, I mean, it is, really. Isn't it?
I don't think Rachel should talk about Dunning-Kruger.
Well, hey, if anybody's Dunning-Kruger, the arrogance of a modus tollens should go up there, right? Should be like a winner, I think. I don't think there could be any more Dunning-Kruger than imagining you could write an entire new logic thing and nobody notices it.
Yes, but Rachel would be one of them to be this top left, because she created this.
But she's nominating Flatside. Rachel's getting to nominate this year because Rachel's just moved over. Rachel's on the other side now.
Yeah, yes, I know, but
she's a ranty.
So she should nominate herself for creating this affirming the consequent fallacy, when she said that because things are falling down, therefore Earth is going up. So
I think she's changed her mind now, I think, on that one.
Maybe, but still, it remains in my memory, at least, that she told that. She said.
Yeah, and if she's changed her mind again, I don't think she's put a video out on it, because I do watch.
No, I was just talking about this Dunning-Kruger. You know, people think that they know logic. They say stupid things. So they fall into this Dunning-Kruger, let's say, category. But maybe she's still happy with that. I don't know. So if someone is accusing other people of this Dunning-Kruger issue, maybe some people should start from themselves in first place. But okay, I think that this is just a drama, entertainment, money, content. So I think that, for example, Ranty did that because of that. In fact, he
Show me the money.
yeah.
No, there's no money in it. Rachel's not making any money. This is, you know, when you get certain
Right,
points like that,
I didn't say Rachie was making any money. I didn't say, but I'm gonna tell you, there are people that solely do this who make money.
yeah,
Yes,
McToon and Fight the Flat Earth.
Okay.
They're definitely making money.
Nathan Oakley.
Yes, and Nathan Oakley admits that he created this channel and this for money, for living, that he is doing this for living. So he's honest about that. So of course, McToon and Fight the Flat Earth, of course, they are doing this for money, and
Yeah, and they're probably making twice what Nathan's making.
yeah, but Rachie is part of that now. So I don't know if Rachie is making money from that, but still, if she participates in that, so some kind of she has to participate. I don't know if income is to her also, is to be for her. I don't know, and I don't care. I'm talking just about this Dunning-Kruger, and she can create the first film about this Dunning-Kruger about herself. That's all I am saying. But of course, she will.
It's a
Will
shame
not
she
do
never
that.
come around here for a chat, talk about real things.
Yeah, man. I think that's I've heard her few times, 2 times with Fight the Flat Earth and on her own channel. But it's for me, it's more just about talking, not really. Let's say scientific content like rebooting in logical way, just saying something against position of globers, etc. But really nothing inventive with arguments. But okay, but now if she's on other side, she can put herself on this top left as former professor or whatever.
I never had anything to do with Rachie, so I've not got a clue. Don't know where she came from. I had Rachie down as being Sleeping Warriors underling, because she came around at that time when Sleeping Warrior was around here, and he did take people on. He tried to train the Flat Earthers, Sleeping Warrior did. So yeah, I never really had Rachie down as being anything. Rachie never I could never get to talk to Rachie. Every time I put a query out to go and ask Rachie for a conversation, she never came round. I just presumed that Sleeping Warrior had already told Rachie to not come round and talk to us. So, you know, I don't know anything about Rachie. Never watched any of the videos. Never was interested because I had that connection with Rachie and Sleeping Warrior. Askins put
connection that you made in your mind, though.
Askins put, oh my God, I Google searched Caleb on TikTok, Flat Earth, and got 2 Bob the Science videos. I kid you not.
Not surprised.
Well, if he's lost his TikTok channels, I mean, that's pretty big, isn't it? To get Caleb taken down off TikTok, if that's what's happened.
So the battle is going on.
Yeah. That's going to be big, that, though, right? One of the biggest names in Flat Earth. Doing a bit with Bob. Bob's best work, Fight the Flat Earth, and McToon were calling it. It is laughable. He's turned himself into like a bit of a Sean Hawkins character. That, you know, his approach for making videos. That's what it looks like anyway. Shout out Sean Hawkins. You can make videos better than Bob. You just need to get a chat with Caleb. You'll be able to do the same sort of thing. This is one of the strangest arenas I've ever come into. Well, it's the only YouTube arena I've ever come into, because before I came into this, I wasn't doing any of this sort of stuff. And I'm fascinated by it still. Like the stories and whatnot that's going on around this arena at the minute. Flat earthers are in a position where, I mean, it's obvious that the Earth's not flat. But how will the flat earthers get out of it? Because they need to be around. The globe earthers need the flat earthers to be around more than anyone. So the globe earthers can't allow the flat earthers to just go away. Flat earthers are needed to talk about the globe. Because without the flat earthers, the globe guys wouldn't be able to talk about anything. Because were they to do that, they'd sound like us, wouldn't they? And then somebody would have a go at them, because they'd sound like us.
I think that it is maybe because, you know, when flat earthers were debunking globe Earth, of course, it is easy task. So they were and are good at it. No problem. But
Yeah, I'm right. I am.
So if now maybe they are creating, like Nathan Oakley is creating content that would be easily debunked by globe earthers. So he's making room for them. Willingly or not willingly, I don't care. But he is doing that because these stupid claims can be easily rebutted by globers. Not only globers, but they will and they should do that. So maybe it is just a twist in this false dichotomy that till now in debunking flat earthers were better because it is very easy to debunk globe earth, but now Nathan Oakley is giving weapon to globers to debunk flat earth. So I don't know how it will go with that from now, but this is what I can see. This is my, let's say, prediction. I don't know if it is accurate or not, but this is as I see, as it goes.
I've been looking for. There was a bit earlier that, you know, I keep relating these stories that we hear to mainly Plato, because I think there's a lot of truth in those old stories hidden within it, and allegories that you can apply to modern day times, much like the allegory of the cave. Well, it came to me that this thing that Nathan Oakley's doing at the minute is much like one of the passages within the Republic. And it's where Socrates is explaining justice within Republic, and he's saying that they have to base it upon a lie, story about a falsehood. And the way he does it is to say that all of the people that are around at the minute, you have to put them in a dreamlike state and tell them that what came before them was a dream. And what they are a birth from the Mother Earth, which sort of like Nathan Oakley at the minute, where he's telling the people to go out and just say that the Earth is measured flat. Right, that's the beginning, the new beginning. He's writing a new axiom. That's what the story of Socrates is sort of saying within Republic. It's like you have to base this on a lie. But the outcome of it is that these people that have been told that they were living in a dream, and their reality is now then birthed from this mother, is that they will then defend this earth, the land, or whatever, because that was within their beginnings. So by nature, they become to do this. But this is hard work. Not many people will believe them at first. It's a hard story to push. But the more time that passes and the more new people that come, they will become accustomed to it. They will develop it into their own story going forwards. And the truth, dreamlike truth, will be forgotten. And this new wave comes pushing forward. I think that's where Nathan Oakley's at. Doesn't want to look at the dream of the reality. He just wants to forge forward, pushing this new lie with people. I don't think it'll work. I was going to read it, but I don't know whether it quite fits. It's not. It says like, guy's getting him to say something. It says nothing new, but a Phoenician story which describes something that has happened in many places, at least. That's what the poets say. And they've persuaded many people to believe it too. It hasn't happened among us. I don't even know if it could. But it would certainly take a lot of persuasion to get people to believe it. You seem hesitant to tell the story. When you hear it, you'll realise that I have every reason to hesitate. Speak it. Don't be afraid. So he says, I'll tell it then. Though I don't know where I'll get the audacity or even what words I'll use. I'll first try to persuade the rulers and the soldiers, and then the rest of the city, that the upbringing, the education we gave them, and the experiences that went with them were sort of a dream. That, in fact, they themselves, their weapons, and the others' craftsmen's tools, were at the same time really being fashioned and nurtured inside the earth. And that when the work was completed, the earth, who is their mother, delivered all of them up to the world. Therefore, if anyone attacks the land in which they live, they must plan on its behalf and defend it as if their mother and nurse, and think of the other citizens as their earth-born brothers. That's
yes, that's
the building of a republic.
Yeah, so it has to be based on ideology. So he's talking how to create a state that because he's saying that this state has to be based on some ideological foundation, let's say.
Mhm.
Because without that, it is instead of heritage. Heritage is it can be history or can be faked history. So he's creating story like faked history, and upon this he will build ideology of his state. So that's how ideologies and modern states work. Yes, also. So this is very old and very, very telling, I would say.
Yeah, it just reminded me like the way Nathan Oakley's going with this. There's no reason for why he's doing it. It's just, I don't know. I think this is perhaps one of the best ways of Nathan Oakley getting out of having to answer questions. For him to just go with this and then dismiss all questions about it. It's what it seems like to me anyway.
I got a question. Could it be a perceived underhanded shit? I had the saying because remember when you undermined him, he could perceive this as his own way of undermining your
the
argument.
Angle thing. He said that us saying that you can do fuck all with an angle undermined his argument. It was a slur, particularly against them. But he's just agreed with Bob earlier that that's something that he says anyway. So he's undermining his own arguments. Yeah, you're right, Askin. It is pretty. It's pretty good marketing. If you were in a position where you couldn't answer questions about a certain thing, then this is perhaps the best way, providing you've got enough people around you and you can mute enough people asking questions. Then you can make it all disappear. Any questions about anything will just disappear. And eventually nobody will be asking the questions because they know that if you ask Nathan Oakley that, he'll shout at you, he'll call you names, you'll have to take a mockery. Because he does that, he'll mute you and then he'll just get rid of you as soon as you've done it, after saying that you've just agreed that it was measured flat. Seen it happen so many times already. And I wouldn't really care, apart from the fact that I came into this because I felt sorry for flat earthers. I still do. It's just now I feel sorry for flat earthers because they've got flat earthers lying to them.
Yeah, don't feel sorry for me, please.
Well, it's not just you, Rob.
Like, no, I know.
How many other people?
I'm an exception to the rule.
That have to deal with Nathan Oakley. Now, Nathan Oakley's never going to come over here and have a chat about any of these things. He's never going to be able to have a considered discussion about his arguments and his points and how to put them across, and because his rhetoric's just different. I can't see. I've been sat around these arenas. Seem to have this gift of being able to sit back, look at the broader picture and see how things are going to sort of pan out. I can't work out what Nathan Oakley's doing. I can't work out where it goes, where the next step is. It seems like he's come to the end of the road. Much the same as the Globe guys, right? The Globe guys are in a really bad position, like worse than they've ever been. because that one with the globe is a straight line. They're not going to be able to get away from the straight line. But it's a completely different thing to do with Nathan Oakley. Because Nathan Oakley can't really say, straight line, look, the earth is flat. I mean, it doesn't work like that. Whereas you can disprove the globe with just a straight line. Because that straight line's impossible. But straight lines don't prove a flat earth. You'd have to be crazy to think that. Two completely different things going on at the minute. You've got flat earthers. Okay, they've took on a bad name. Own up to it. Nothing wrong with that. The earth's not flat. There is a reality out there. And it's pretty obvious to see it's not flat. The earth's not flat. Reality's not flat. It's a measured changes. And if that's all you need to prove it's not flat is a measured change, that's easy. Anyone can do that. The globe, well, that's where your mind's going to start messing up. Once you start dealing with that, once you find out how simple it is, then you're dealing with proper mental work. You need to have your proofs in order. You need to be able to understand logic. Because if you don't, you're going to get fooled by the sophists. The globe sophists or the dogmatic globe sophists. And that's the sort of stuff that I don't think people should have that. I call it mental torture because it is. This gaslighting that they're doing at the minute is nothing compared to seeing a grown man tell you that you don't know what a straight line is. Because if you can't handle the flat versus globe being a false dichotomy, then you're going to really struggle when somebody starts telling you you don't understand what a straight line is. Because of some mathematical, scientific, extra brain power that certain people are saying they have. But if anybody does want to come and talk, like it really is simple. Reality is much simpler than I think most people are willing to believe. That's because most heads have been filled with nonsense. Been allowed to accept nonsense, but without understanding that it is nonsense, and with having no logic way of ordering these things, I don't know whether it can be deemed as being nonsense. If you have no way to filter sense from nonsense, I guess everything could be in a similar basket. You could easily put everything together with no logical system. What do you have to work with? Natural logic, I think. I think that's the only thing you've got to base it on is how much natural ability for logic do you have? Because I know I would have thought of myself as a mathematically minded person, but I didn't have an idea as to what logic was or how logic could help me when I first came into this. Didn't have a clue. luckily enough, I did. I found somebody who told me to mind my P's and Q's. And that sent me on a journey. A lot of people have come along the way to help us on that journey. Raven, thank Raven immensely. And the people that came along that sort of time. But we were here and ready and open to the logic for that to come.
And then Hillsdale College as well.
Yeah, it was a natural progression. Like we were born for this. Logos leads us to these journeys for a purpose. And I'm still here for the conversation. I'm still going to be having these discussions. But at the minute, we've since pointing out to the flat earthers, we tried to be nice. Like the amount of times that we've sat here getting shit on by flat earthers. But I don't know for what reason, for what purpose. Calling us pedantic and all sorts, but we're just here to talk about reality. Just because other people have already set up their little paracosms, that we're not part of it. So, I mean, sorry, just we don't fit in. And we don't fit in because it's a false dichotomy. Sorry if you don't see it. Sorry if you've been in it for too long. Sorry if we make arguments that you have to deny. Maybe it's a straw man. Maybe you just say it's not an argument. Maybe you can find some other way of justifying, some reasoning to dismiss it. But they're still arguments. They're not going to go away. You're going to have to address them at some point. Pretty obvious with living in this false dichotomy where people say it's either flat or globe. Well, it's neither. What is it? Well, we've still got reality. We only had reality to start off with. Making up two ridiculous models to describe reality when we've got reality there. I don't know why anybody needs to make up a ridiculous model to be able to talk about anything. Let's just talk about reality. Let's talk about the proofs in reality. I don't know what we're going to be talking about, but I think we are definitely moving out of this flat earth thing. I'm still curious of talking to the flat earthers. I mean, in fact, I'm curious of talking to anyone. Seems like what we do is best is come up with these thought experiments. But they are, in reality, they have been simplified to point out contradictions that most people are living in. And they're there. They've already been done. The arguments that go with them, the tests have been worked out. And if anybody wants to try a thought experiment, it's all down to the rhetoric now and how to deliver them.
I've got a question for you.
Go on.
So I've been listening. I haven't been able to chime in much, but so you're supposing that these people, whoever these people are going to have to eventually deal with the arguments. My question is, do you think, given everything we've seen so far, that anyone is capable of enough critical thought to truly entertain in an honest fashion on the level these arguments? Because I haven't seen it. You get refracted curvature, for instance, John, who's one of the last remaining Nathanites, that's confronted with an irrefutable argument, one that can't be rebutted, and just says it's not an argument. Just claims it. It's not an argument. So that's my question: is does anyone think that there's enough critical thought left? I mean, these people haven't been on the journey with us. They haven't gone through what Raven brought to us. They haven't gone through the grammar, the logic, the rhetoric. Is someone like that capable to entertain an argument or arguments in an honest fashion?
I don't think so. I've been trying to communicate with people within this arena for years now, and it's always been met the same way. Initially, at first, it was the dogmatic globe guys that were, they were the ones that were leading the narrative. We were bad people, we were doxers, or we were doing all sorts of different things. But as the time's gone on, we've got that from the flat earthers too. It's rolled into the same thing. All people seem to be the same. It doesn't really matter within this arena. Once you point out the false dichotomy, they're both after you. You can't seem to come to an agreement with anyone. And I think that's the way it is. 2024. People just want to argue,
bicker, right? Yeah. Not delve into an actual logical argument and discuss it on its merits. Yeah, I agree. I'd love to think that they will have to entertain the arguments at some point, the real arguments. I just don't think that's going to happen. At least not with people in this arena. They're so dug in to their respective false dichotomy positions that I don't see how they can open their minds enough to have enough critical thought to say, well, wait a minute, let me try to entertain this argument as it is, as it stands. Let me see if I can figure out what this person is trying to say with this argument. I would think that somebody, especially on the flat Earth side, totally inescapable.
The argument isn't going to go away. None of the arguments are going to disappear. They're there. Still going to be there. So Nathan Oakley can just try and avoid them for as long as they want, or they can try this refracted curvature approach and just say it's not an argument. Or you can use the Twitter dogmatic glober way and say it's a straw man.
Right. Yep.
Which, I mean, I don't know how that works, but, if you don't know anything about logic, then you might be convinced that that's a way to rebut an argument.
I would have some psychological side of that. Because, for example, Nathan Oakley, when he was talking with Rachel about this upward acceleration, he immediately spotted that she committed this affirming the consequent fallacy. So he's intelligent, he knows how it works. But Nathan Oakley and QE and maybe others, maybe they think that they own logic. So if they use logic, for example, to debunk globe, it works, of course, then they are happy that logic is on their side. But logic is objective and it can be used against their claims. and they don't like it. So for me, it is untenable position, but this is only psychological. Maybe they think that they own logic. They have for themselves this logic. It is their servant. Logic is not their servant. You cannot switch off logic. So if I debunk globe, I use logic. But if someone else is trying to debunk me, no, you cannot use logic against me, because I have my claims and I want to convince people that they are true, etc. So you are not allowed to use logic against me. But I can use logic against you. This is just double standard, but this is what they are doing, especially Nathan Oakley and QE.
Well, like I say, it's always been, I've noticed this quite a while ago, they seem to be working together. Now, you would think sometimes that these people that you get called trolls on the internet, I mean, anybody knows us that Plato Chips from Twitter has been around for years. I mean, before that, he was called WS or Cosmo. Hard to tell which one's which. But this is what he put today. Was today. He said this. He said, your argument in not even inverted commas, just like inverted comma. Your argument relates to topography. Flat earthers don't claim it is flat because of topography. They are referring to the earth being topologically planar, aka flat in their parlance. Your argument is therefore a straw man, as it does not address their view. Try thinking harder. My rebuttal, or my reply to that is, I don't care what flat earthers claim or think. The argument concludes that the earth is not flat because the earth is not flat. It's pretty simple, really, and I understand why flat earthers like you do get upset, but it's only an argument.
Well done.
Yeah. Like, how is it a straw man? Because flat earthers don't make it. Why would flat earthers make an argument that say that the earth's not flat?
And by the way, that your argument relates to topography, because this is what we see, the surface of the earth. So if Nathan Oakley is saying that earth is measured flat, it refers to surface of the earth. It means to topography. Because he said that the earth is observably and measurably flat. Mm-hmm. We cannot see the depth of the earth.
That guy isn't a flat earther, right? That's the strange part.
Yeah, but
like, so
still.
why can globers not accept that as an argument that the earth is not flat?
I really don't understand. And this Plato Chips is arguing against himself, because it is about topography. And it is not about topography because you think that it is about topography. This is how it is described by Nathan Oakley.
Now, as I've read this person on Twitter, Plato Chips, it's pretty clear to me that he's not exclusively on the flat earth side. He may be playing both sides of the false dichotomy.
Yeah,
but that's what
this argument, he's taking the flat earth side.
Flat earth side. Yeah, that's what's so intriguing, right? And it is like you said, Bev, if the flat earth, the globe earthers need the flat earthers more than the flat earthers think that they do. And this is why. Why would someone who is a globe proponent be defending this ridiculous flat Earth claim. When, to your point, it doesn't matter what the flat earthers think. The truth of an argument is the truth of an argument. The Earth's not flat. That's clear. You ask anybody that's not in this flat Earth. I don't know, religion, monad religion. I don't know, but it's just clear.
But they admit in the 24/7, whatever it was, when Beth was with Elderberg. So they say that we know that the Earth is not flat because of mountains and valleys. So they are talking about topography. So what's the problem? They admit it is not flat, but it is measured flat.
But it's flat.
Just complete nonsense.
Yeah, right. It's like someone saying, well, making the claim that 2 + 2 = 5, and then you come along with an argument that says 2 + 2 = 4, and you have a proof and a conclusion of that, and they go, well, that's not what we mean. Yeah. We're not just saying take 4 objects, 2 and 2, and then count them up and it's 4. That's not what we're saying at all. We're saying something completely different. We never claimed to say that 2 + 2 = 4. We're saying 2 + 2 = 5, and here's why. We don't. We never mind that other proof, that other argument that has a conclusion that 2 + 2 = 4. We're going to go with 2 + 2 = 5. This is what Plato Chips is arguing for, and what flat earthers argue for as well. Both sides of the false dichotomy argue for this thing. It's amazing.
Yeah. Somebody comes along with 2 + 2 = 4, and they say, nobody makes that argument, mate. What are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like,
of course,
I've just made the argument. It's like none of us make that argument. Stop doing that. You're just being like, you're
being pedantic.
Yeah, you pedantic idiot. Like, get out of here. Nobody makes that argument. It's like, well, we know nobody makes any argument. We are the only people that do make arguments. Real arguments. So stating that nobody else makes the argument, it doesn't really mean anything. There's no arguments being made. Well, QE made one, right? But it's fallacious to the core.
And still hasn't been addressed in 4 years. And they still go on about it even to this day.
Problem upon problem. Like, once you inject a contradiction into your logical system, you are gonna have problems. And people have contradictions in their daily life. They may not be aware about it, right? But they're going to have problems. Everybody's got problems. So the problems are definitely there. Now, are some of them caused through contradictions that you're holding? Possibly. How would you know?
I would say highly likely. Yeah.
There's only one way to find out, and that's to just sit down and have a conversation about a little bit of logic.
Right.
But who wants to do that nowadays? Seems like people would rather name call, slander, point at fingers, put them in groups, be a bigot. Any other reason than to just have that conversation. Well, like we say, we're here on the level.
Yeah, come on over, have a chat.
If you don't want to come in here or whatever, just come into the Discord. If you don't want to talk, drop us a link somewhere to some other place. We'll get a private room. We'll have a conversation somewhere else. Doesn't really matter. That's what we're after. We're after conversations. And I don't want to be doing what Nathan Oakley does, sorry. I don't want to be doing what Nathan Oakley does and putting people off. Because we don't do that. There's no shouting. There's no, I don't want to have a go at people. I understand that globers and flat earthers alike have been, lied and treated badly by people on either side or whichever.
I was just going to, basically build off of that. Just going back to the arguments for a minute. There's another purpose to come in and entertain these arguments, even if it's not about the topic that the arguments are addressing. Primo facie. It's the other thing is come and entertain the arguments because I truly believe it's a way to see through the wizardry. If nothing else, these arguments are a way for you to determine for yourself whether you're being played or not. Because you'll see these things. You'll see these things. Yeah, Rob. You'll see these things that happen that you get somebody like Plato Chips, who's a rabid globe Earth defender, defending flat Earth. This is the wizardry that a simple argument will expose. I think that's valuable, personally.
Yeah, defending flat earthers against an argument. Because they know how damaging the arguments are. Really, these arguments were made so we could explain the simplicity of a modus tollens. To anybody not in this arena, you show them that argument and they'll understand the form of a modus tollens. If it is flat, then there would be no measurable change in elevation. That's an obvious consequence. It's easy to see the relationship between the two. It's easy to see that elevation is measured on the vertical datum. Anyone can do that. You can do it yourself. These are easy arguments to follow. But when somebody says, that's a straw man, what does that mean? Looks like a proper argument, but if somebody's telling you it's a straw man, then are they doing you a disservice? Are they stopping you from following a natural, simple argument? What about refracted curvature over there on the Nathan Oakley panel? By just saying, that's not an argument. I mean, what does that mean in the structure of that when you see an argument that's formulated in the modus tollens form and somebody just dismisses it by saying it's not an argument?
For me, it may indicate that refracted curvature really does not understand what argument is, particularly modus tollens. Because if he said that because he believes that this is not argument, it means that he doesn't understand this argument. And maybe he doesn't understand what argument is at all in logic. Because we are talking about logical arguments, not people arguing with opponents. This is called arguments, but it is not argument when people are just quarreling with each other. It is not argument.
Yeah, it's changed its meaning, hasn't it? To argue means to argue, shout at each other, right? Rather than the argument, which is a structured few statements placed together in a like an obvious way, right? Where the conclusion follows from the premises. And the simpler that form of those put together are, the more natural the understanding is. So when you get an argument that seems as natural as this, when somebody says that's not an argument or that's a straw man, then that can't be good to help people understand, to at least get on the ladder for understanding how logical arguments work. It's pretty sad. But they're the flat earthers that I feel for, let's say, because they're not being given an easy ride or an easy introduction into what can be probably one of the most mind-wrecking arenas there is in this whole thing. I mean, who hasn't got an opinion on the shape of the Earth? Everybody has, right? Everybody's got an idea. They've seen movies and pictures and weather reports. Everybody's seen all sorts of stuff. How could you get away from it?
It's nothing wrong with opinions, but if someone is trying to convince other people that my model is true, and he brings fallacious arguments for that model, I would say that something's wrong. It should ring a bell in your head. Because if model is true, you can produce arguments, real arguments for that. You don't need to bring fallacious arguments or just claims like Earth is measured flat, which is a blatant false statement. So that's, people should be suspicious. Why? Nathan Oakley is saying that Earth, and before that, that mountain is measured flat, which is even more ridiculous. But okay, so he started with mountain and now he landed with Earth measured flat, which is just false. So some people flat earthers should ask questions for themselves. Why he's saying that thing, which is at first glance, it sounds stupid. I don't know why people are just not thinking about their own minds. Because I cannot take that statement because it is just contradictory to reality. Because you don't need to measure anything. You can see that Earth is not flat. So if it is true that Earth is not flat because we can see that it is not flat, therefore it cannot be measured flat. We are not blind. We are using eyes to measure. So if we can see that Earth is not flat, so also it is impossible to measure Earth flat with our eyes. So it's just contradiction, complete contradiction.
Yeah, we had them measuring that earlier today with their eyes, a visual measurement. It's amazing. So the idea of these modus tollens when we made them was to, well, actually one of them got made first. The simplification of the fallacious modus tollens that QE calls the black swan was made as a making that sort of statement as simple as possible, but based within the framework that we understood. Obviously we did a lot of work with level, so therefore that played a part in the argument, and we made the if the globe is a spherical object P, then the surface of liquid water at rest must curve Q. Water level is a tool that establishes a horizontal plane of reference, not Q, because there's no curvature to a horizontal plane of reference. Modus tollens not Q, therefore not P, therefore the globe is not a spherical object. Now, that's a modus tollens too. So both of them, this one and the if the Earth is flat, then there would be no measurable change in elevation. Elevation change is measured on the vertical datum, therefore the Earth is not flat. They're very similar in form. In fact, they're exactly the same in form because they're both modus tollens. The claim is made and placed as the if statement at the beginning. That's the claim. The claim is if the Earth's flat or the globe is spherical. They're the claims.
Yes. Yes, and this claim is in conditional statement. So we have compound sentence. So and condition in conditional statement you can have let's say whatever, but this whatever you have, this P, it has consequences. So even if P is not true, it has logical consequence. And I'm not talking about modus ponens or modus tollens, because it is not yet modus ponens or modus tollens. It is just conditional statement. So if we have condition P or antecedent, there is a logical consequence of that, even if antecedent is impossible. The consequence is true.
Yeah, there has to be a logical consequence, right? For an action, there is always a reaction all the time. There never isn't one. So this is based upon those reasoning principles, aren't it? Isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So in fact, it doesn't matter in conditional statement if the antecedent is true, because it has always relation to consequence. And I have this this example from Saint Thomas Aquinas, but I think it is originally from Aristotle, that if man was a donkey, he would be mindless. So we have antecedent impossible, because man is not a donkey. But if he was a donkey, the consequence of that would be that he would be mindless. So a consequence is true, even if antecedent is impossible, because it is a logical consequence. But this is only conditional. To verify conditional, we have two ways. We can affirm by affirming, so we are affirming consequent by affirming, we can affirm antecedent by affirming consequent, for example, and it is affirming the consequent fallacy.
Well, could we say then for this statement that if the Earth or the globe is measured flat, but seeing as that is the new claim, right? The Earth is measured flat. Then would it still be consequent that there would be no measurable change in elevation?
Yes, but that would be contradiction.
What would be? Because there would be no measure. You can't measure something with no measure. But that would be the same, right? You know, if the Earth were measured flat, then there would be no measurable change of elevation. You could discuss whether no measurable change is a measurable change, couldn't you? But it would still stand.
Yes. That would be consequent. It is more tautological, because we are talking about measuring an antecedent and measuring an consequent. But still, yes, it would be true. Yes.
And since elevation is a measured change on the vertical datum, the Earth is not measured flat.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's measured not flat.
Yes, because it is contradiction in terms, because you cannot measure and not measure. So if it is not measured flat, so it cannot be measured flat. So you cannot have both.
Yeah, it's a self-refuting claim, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
Saying that it is measured flat, because were it to be measured flat, there would be no measured change.
Yes,
and
but
not measuring a change isn't measuring anything.
Yes, but Nathan Oakley is using this that Earth is measured flat as argument for flat Earth, for the shape. So it is still the old antecedent that Earth is flat because it is measured flat. So the consequence, of course, of the shape is measurement. Because if the Earth is flat, there would be no measurable changes. So if, of course, he said that the Earth is flat because there are measurements of flatness, which is just not true. So consequent is not true in his claim. He says Earth is flat because we measure Earth flat. This is the same argument or similar argument to this sextant argument. And it is fallacious because it is affirming the consequent. Because in modus ponens, we have to affirm antecedent to affirm consequent. So affirming by affirming means that we, at the end of our modus ponens, we need to affirm consequent. And we affirm consequent not directly, like Brenda would say, that we are affirming consequent by affirming the consequent. And this is, of course, fallacy called affirming the consequent. So we have to affirm consequent indirectly by affirming antecedent. So this is correct form of proving and modus ponens.
Which
we
is
are
why
affirming
minding the P's and Q's is so important. These two have to have that relationship, because
yes,
you can come unstuck here by if you don't have that connection being a true connection, you can affirm your antecedent.
No. If you have no connection, it means that this statement, conditional statement, is non sequitur.
Yeah.
So you don't need to create modus ponens or modus tollens. It doesn't matter, because if it is raining today, I will live 100 years. So you don't need to prove if it is true or not. It is just non sequitur.
But you've got to have the whereabouts to know that, to mind your P's and Q's. Because if somebody's unaware of how these arguments are formed, and they were told that that's a valid argument, then you can fool people with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And modern mathematics is tending to do that, because they don't mind their P's and Q's, because you can establish as P whatever you want, and establish as Q whatever you whatever you want. You don't need to mind your P's and Q's in modern mathematics. So they think that in normal logic, let's say Aristotelian logic, you can twist anything, and in reality also. Sadly, it doesn't work that way, because objective reality is that it works like it was logical. So we have cause and effect. Then we can create antecedent, which is a cause, and effect, which is consequent. That's why we can create a conditional statement based on reality, not only based on our fantasy, just reality. That's why they work. because there is causation here. Modern mathematics don't like causation. But in reality,
it's not
you
just
cannot...
modern mathematics. You've got to consider this. This is modern logic. And modern logic that's crept its way into the education system, to the minds of people, without sort of telling them it is modern logic.
Yes, but it is, I think, they say it is logic, but it is not logic, because if you have, for example...
Well, diletheism's creeped its way in through logic. So it is logic. It's creeped its way into the education system.
I would say that they are trying to replace causation with association, because in test system, you don't need to know what the cause is and what the consequence is. You just need to fill to put X in right box. So they say it is the right box, but you still don't understand why this putting this X mark here and not there, that is correct. So it is learning by association. So you think that it is logical, so it is antecedent and consequent only by association. So it is not really logical consequence of something. It is just said that it has to be true. So in fact, you are learning answers beforehand, like mantra, and when you are doing test, you are just feeling what you learned, because it has to be true. But this is not really you are not using logic, you are just associating answers with what you learned before. But this is not logic, I would say.
No, this modern thinking, I think, has built itself up. I mean, they've built this paracosm. I think they've made it themselves. You know, this arena has made its own paracosm for what's allowed and what can be dismissed. Make allowances for one side and the other, for the false dichotomy to keep it going. But I think at the minute, people are breaking free and, you know, coming to some sort of realizations. Nathan Oakley's a few years behind. Doesn't seem to notice that we've been telling people or proving that level is a straight line on a horizontal plane. And really, that's all we've been doing. The simplicity of that has led us to geometry, logic, some wonderful journeys. But that's basically all we've been doing. Level, horizontal, straight, geometry and logic. Understanding the arguments. Sorting the grammar. Learning the form of arguments. It's been a great journey. But it's led us to where we are at the minute. And Nathan Oakley, it seems like he's only just found out that some people think that level's different. And he doesn't know why they think it's different. He's not got a clue. He's not got a clue of the internal workings of the mind and how you end up in a position where straight becomes something different. And when that does happen in somebody's mind, then they think of straight differently. But it's still straight. And that's where Nathan Oakley and the Globers have been all this time. Don't think they'll be able to see it. I don't know whether Nathan's going to be able to catch up. I don't know whether Nathan can have the empathy to be able to see they're trapped in their own minds. People have been put in this position. Their lives have put them in this position. Modern society has helped put them in this position. And the position is that everybody's confused. Nobody really knows what the fuck's going on. Because it's too many contradictions.
I think that people now are, because they are watching television and films. In these films, many things are going not according to physics. For example, they are doing weird things in these films, and people are accommodating to that mindset that impossible things are possible. So, like science fiction films, or not even science fiction, but normal. People are jumping to 20 feet above, or they are climbing mountains with the speed of monkey or whatever. So it is normally it is impossible, but they are accommodating to think that it is possible because they see that in television, and they are by association accommodating to situation that straight line is curved, because they are trained to think that things impossible, which are impossible, are possible. And this is how we are in 2024 and forward, because people are just accommodating to situations that are impossible. They think now that things completely impossible and illogical can be real. It's just, for me, it is just madness, but this is how we are.
Yeah, when people can dismiss arguments as straw men or just not arguments, then are they ever going to be able to follow the steps to reason? Don't know. I mean, maybe if it suits them, they might be able to. But with any influence that, I feel like if I try and say something, I noticed it happening with somebody else the other day as well. Whenever you say something, then that seems to be taken as the opposite of truth. So you do tend to end up influencing people by stating truths, because other people seem to argue against it automatically. It's like an auto response. They think they have to go against it. They are incapable of just agreeing. And I don't know why that happens. I agree with people a lot. I disagree when I don't agree. But when I do agree, I'll readily admit I'll agree. There's a lot of people around at the minute that seem they can't even agree on the obvious axioms of reality.
So this is how, because modern education is pulling, let's say, down logic. So they say logic is not important. Your invention is more important. Be creative or something, whatever. Fantasize. But so they give up with logic with ease. And back in the day, it was impossible because it was called stupidity. But now it is just another point of view. So if someone is holding illogical position, it is not stupid. And old times, it was just called stupidity. Now, of course, you cannot say that this is stupidity because you will offend your
It's an offensive
interlocutor.
word.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it is stupidity. So, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it's like that top left thing though. We started this off with, you know, it's not really there to be pointed finger at and laughed at, right? It should normally be, you know, take it upon that and say, yeah, okay, you know, here you go. But when it becomes a blatant opinion where they're, you know, we've had Blue Marble coming in here today and saying some ridiculous things about CAD drawings, reality, and 3D, 2D. It's crazy. Whereas he thinks he can claim to be an engineer, but seem to go against all of these laws. I mean, you'd have to say it's a law, right? The idea that vertical and horizontal are perpendicular and they comport with the fundamental aspects of a geometry whenever doing any construction. They're laws. The shortest distance between 2 points. I mean, surely nobody has to tell anybody that that's a straight line and that vertical and horizontal are perpendicular or planes. You know, that's where we're at. Literally a group of boomers going mental.
Yes, but this is special pleading fallacy because they say as Blue Marble Science and not only him, Flat Earth Math, etc., that on small scale it is true, but on bigger scale it is not true. It is a classical example, like this spherical geometry. It is classical example of special pleading fallacy. So, and by the way, it is just another thing that I recollect now from this Brenda discussion about existence of God, because Brenda said that part can contradict the whole. So this is another thing that's blatant idiot.
What's that? Like the part doesn't necessarily have to be part of the whole?
No, Brenda said that exactly part can contradict the whole. This is what he said.
But how would that do that? Like, it would have to be not part of the whole in order to contradict
yes,
it.
It is blatant contradiction. It is impossibility, of course.
Yeah.
But it's just
Brenda's got it in his bio that he's a student. 55 plus, senior citizen, 55 plus, student of logic, philosophy.
Massacre, because
yeah,
it is. How can you say that this is just first principle of reasoning? That part is not a whole, of course, but because part is part of this whole, it cannot be in contradiction, because it is ontological contradiction. It means because if the whole has this part, it means that the whole has this part and hasn't got this part. This is just nonsense, complete utter nonsense. But Brenda said that, and
Well,
this
you get
infinite
used to
regression, etc.
nonsense. Come on, but you've never heard. You must have heard lots of nonsense in this arena. It's become more standard for me to hear that nonsense whenever I talk to anybody outside this arena, unless it's my dad or, you know, outside of my circle. Like, more often than not, they're model afflicted, and communicating with the model afflicted is, let's say, tricky to say the least. But I think I'm getting a grip on it. I think I can communicate with them. They normally get upset because, you know, it's hard to communicate with the model afflicted without them getting upset.
Yes, you will have to end that you will pull that string that you shouldn't, because it is inevitable in discussion. So yes, they have to be nervous at some point, and they know that if you are going closer and closer to that touchy point, they are getting nervous already. So sometimes I even can predict when this guy would get nervous. If we are going closer and closer to this very touchy point. Horizontal, for example, when horizontal is no longer horizontal, this is one of these questions, for example.
Madness. Somebody was telling me today in the YouTube chat that horizontals would be perpendicular again. You know, North Pole, equator. It's just madness.
Yeah.
How they can even imagine it must be, you know, that's the bit that gets me all the time. You know, they've already put their minds in a position where they can contemplate it. Now, that's a strong model belief that allows them to contemplate it in the first place. But then that switch from the contemplation into reality, that's fantastic.
No, it is just in fact, they cannot confront reality because they think that this is what it is in their minds. It is reality, but sorry, no. It is not reality. But they are at the same time they are just rejecting objective reality. So objectivism is the bad word. So it's convoluted somehow, but in fact it is simple. They just reject objective reality, and then they are outside of reality, and they can go inside of their minds, and they can produce anything they want because they don't check. There is no reality check. So whatever they think, it is true because I think it is true. And that's end. Normal thinking is that you have to check with the reality. Even if it is speculation, because in speculation we don't check with reality, but we do check with first principles of reasoning, because this is all we have in speculation or in metaphysics, for example. but we cannot break that principles of reasoning. But now they are breaking this. So law of identity, excluded middle, this part is not a whole, and part cannot contradict the whole, etc. It is just tearing apart, because so it is no longer thinking. You cannot say that this is speculation, because speculation has laws of logic. It has to follow laws of logic. If it doesn't, it means it is just fantasy. And they call it, this fantasy, like Brenda is calling it science. It's just complete nonsense, but this is what it is in 21st century. Just science fiction is now science. For me, this is just madness.
Yeah, I can remember. I don't know when the book came out, but I can remember it coming into my my view, and that was the science fiction, or it was about, you know, the science within science fiction, and what, I don't know whether it was what they were planning to do. I thought it was the way that the science of Star Trek. Could it have been called that? I think it might have been. You know.
Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah, they were trying to relate the modern science to this science fiction, as though one of them, like, it was really part of the lead up to the modern science, but really it's just science fiction. Let me check.
But it is still, you know, in fact, for example, if you are can watch these films from space, for example, like Aliens or whatever, Cosmic Station, but in films, in fabular films. So it is no different with this CGI from ISS, etc. So it is the same. So people cannot discern between science fiction and science, because in fact it is both of them is science fiction, but they say that this is science. And when we see, for example, actors within the same scene, it is science fiction. But when actors are not, well, they are called scientists, and they are in ISS or whatever, it is science. So we watch the same thing on the screen, and one of them is science fiction and the other is science. This is how it works. This is just programming people to believe that science fiction is science. It is my opinion.
Looking here, but it says 2022. Can't be right. There was a film, Physics of Star Trek. I can't find that.
Yeah. Science of Star Trek.
Yeah, they've got the Physics of Star Trek is a 1995 non-fiction book by the theoretical physicist Lawrence M. Krauss. It is the third book by Krauss, who later wrote a follow-title book, Beyond Star Trek, in 1997. that'd be about right. Krauss discusses the physics involved in various concepts and objects described in the Star Trek universe. That's it, Krauss. Physics of Star Trek.
He's also a devout atheist.
Foreword by Stephen Hawking. 1996. I mean, like.
So if you read this text, so what would be your conclusion if you take it seriously? They are talking about science because they are talking about physics. So it means that this, it is, let's say, alluding to this situation that people start to think that Star Trek is not science fiction, but it's just kind of science, let's say.
Yeah, the physics of Star Trek.
It is non-physical. This is just a film. It cannot be physical. This is just story, fantasy. It's like saying about physics of a computer game. It's just what is physical in computer game? Nothing. But they can say, I would say that...
He's a theoretical physicist. I mean, come on. Give him his...
It is oxymoron. Theoretical physics is just oxymoron.
Yeah, but it's a branch of science.
Yeah.
So it must be real.
Like astrophysics. What we know about physicality of the stars? Just nothing. But they are astrophysicists. So they know the physical properties of the stars, of course. Supposedly.
It says here, like if you read it, it says, Krauss got the idea for writing the book from his publisher, who initially suggested it as a joke. Krauss dismissed the idea, but later thought that using Star Trek might get people interested in real physics.
Yeah. So this is just a segue from science fiction to science.
Yeah, that's literally the way I read it as well. Like, they're just pushing the idea that, the images are out there. And then, like, there's a possibility that could be real. Like, your mind's already halfway there. Just try and place it within the reality realm. Right? Just pick that image that you already have in your head and place it in the reality part of the same part of your brain. But just shift it over into the reality bit. It's dangerous. Pretty sure. That's sort of little compartmentalization of this idea from fantasy into the real can cause problems. May not seem like it much at the beginning. But at a later date... I would imagine that you could eventually find it difficult to talk to people about certain things, because these conversations about these certain things might trigger memories or, cognitive pain, perhaps.
Yes, and for example, in this overview, he also discusses time travel, light speed, pure energy beings, wormholes, teleportation, and this is physics now.
Yeah.
Or starting to be physics. Just pure nonsense, idiocy, just fairy tale, but this is just teleportation. It is possible, and in the future maybe. So now it is just Okay, it is maybe still science fiction within Star Trek, but Star Trek is anticipation science. So in 20 years, teleportation would be, for example, you would have to pass exam from teleportation theory as physicist, for example. Who knows?
Yeah, the possibilities are there, aren't they? Starts with the theoretical, and then, you know, over the years, people can maybe believe that it's possible. Get one of those shifts like Nathan Oakley's going at the minute and just tell people that it is that way.
Yes, and they will say that it is obviously possible. We know that now, but we don't have technology yet.
Yeah.
But it is obviously possible. We have calculations, we have math. So math is telling us that it is absolutely doable, but we don't have technology yet. So this is nice. Science fiction turning into science, or rather pseudoscience, but it is called science now. So that's my point. It is really science fiction, but now it is called science. For me, this is just still fairy tale, and of course, it is madness. For me, it is madness.
Yeah, I was looking on the found that map of physics goes to about 1930. Obviously, no Krauss. Don't know whether the theoretical physicists are beyond there. Even I don't know whether Krauss's predecessors could possibly have made it onto that. Because I think theoretical physicists got to be a pretty new thing, right?
Yes, I would say that it started with Einstein, because in fact because in 19th century it was Airy's failure, for example, this Michelson-Morley experiment, but was still at least attempt to do experiment something. But Albert Einstein just was just saying words. So it was just theoretical physics is just mathematics, and this mathematics is saying that it can be possible in physical world. This is just for me. This is just reification of mathematics. So we have we invented equation, and we now have to convince people that this equation is possible in a physical world. It can work. And they are convincing people for 20, 50 years, for example. And this equation is now part of physics, theoretical physics.
No,
That doesn't make
they've
any
done
sense.
it in logic. They've done it in geometry. They've obviously done it in mathematics. I don't know what else there is left. And when it's filtered down through the people to find that modern day, there's no logic taught at all. There's no reason. People seem to be led by, I don't know. Doesn't seem to be logic anyway. I'd say we're in a bit of a mess. And I know Rob Keane's having a good time. But I'd say there's going to be some hard times coming for the people that we're in this arena with anyway.
No one's having as much fun as me. I got to do a stereo today. Get to put the big bass in a car. My
Nice.
favorite jobs.
You get to test it out. What tunes have you got? Buster?
I got everything, but Buster has no bass. So I have to
get some spot on for some bass.
If Buster played the bass guitar, I'd be all over it like a fat kid on cake.
To get him to do a special one for you for a sound check. Just
Yeah,
one, like bassy.
Any of the ones that go boom, 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 I'm all over it. Anyways, I got to get this stereo in before 6 o'clock. I'm still here though.
Yeah, that map of physics is pretty interesting when you look at it. And you know, like sort of you look at the foundations of where all of that stuff comes from and where certain figures and characters are. And it says that there's some end date. Oh no, it is J-Ro. He is. Maybe not where you'd imagine him to be.
Maybe in the future, in the close future, they will study, for example, physics of lightsaber, of Luke Skywalker's physics, let's say, lightsaber.
Yeah, it says on the map, like it sort of says everybody calls all of the other bits the villages, and it says a start and end date. Well, Euclid doesn't have an end date on it, so I guess that means that still exists, but it's where they've put him is so weird for me. But I guess that's where they can mess it up, I suppose. He's at the beginning of one of them. If you've not found him yet. Yeah. Imagine that. Find Euclid at the beginning of light in the map of physics. I mean, I know he did optics and it was very Euclidean. Optics.
Yeah, optics are described by geometry. It is pure geometry. There is no other way, I haven't found yet, any other way that geometry to describe what is happening within optics.
And logic as well, right? It's not just geometry, it's entirely that axiomatic logical system. The only way you can go at these things with the fundamentals is this Euclidean understanding.
Yes. So it is not just it's not spherical geometry or whatever. It's just normal Euclidean geometry. This is how optics works and how it is described and how it is happening. Because in optics, when you are moving, for example, or object is moving, so these angles and lines, everything is changing, but it is changing according to some laws. It is not just accidental change. You can predict what is changing, how is changing, rate of change. You can predict everything because you know this laws of optics, and laws of optics are just geometrical laws. So your calculations, even in optics, are trigonometry. Yes, you are using this in optics many times. So it's these proportions and relationships which are given by geometry. It is preserved in optics very carefully, and because they create this lenses and whole apparatus, optical apparatus, they need to know to every detail what they are doing, because otherwise cameras and optical devices wouldn't work as intended. So it is very, very, let's say, accurate transposition from geometry to optics. It has to be preserved. So, and they are accurate, and they are accurate with calculations and these proportions. So, and it is geometrical. Proportions in optics are geometrical proportions only. So this is how it works, optics, geometry.
Have you looked at that? Because I like J-Ro loves that sort of stuff. It's got, like, if you follow all these rivers, because that's what they're meant to be rivers that are flowing. So it's hard to work out where they're flowing to. I think they're all flowing to the bottom right-hand corner, because that's where the future is, future of energy or whatever. But if you follow that astronomy one round, seems to be like the oldest one. I don't know why. Looking at lights in the sky, if that's what astronomy was, I'm not too sure. I think the astronomy was linking some other stuff. But within that, you follow it back, and there's loads of... Oh, you can't even see it on the screen there. There's loads of little, like, lakes and stuff. And they've all got weird symbols on them that don't seem to relate to anything, but they've put them on there. They must relate to something. Some sort of a code or whatever. I mean, look at it. How many little lakes and fishes and things that there are there that nobody's named any of that. And sound, you know, Pythagoras and Euclid and all of that did chords. They knew all about all of that. Yeah. The sound bit's completely free. Till about the 1200s.
For me, sound is just normal physical phenomenon. But by the way, that physics is a phenomenon. It is not very accurate description, because physics is it's just physis, and in Greek it is just face. This is let's say visible world. So physical world is visible world. So not only phenomenon, because phenomenon is change. It is action, something happening. But physics is also things, just physical objects.
I have to put a small contradiction there. A magnetic field. You can't see it, but it is a physical interaction.
In there.
Yes, but
Electromagnetic. It's got a river of its own. Magnetism's up there.
Yeah, magnetism's not electromagnetism though.
Well, it leads in
But
this one.
anytime,
The river from magnetism leads into electromagnetic.
yeah, you're right up my alley with this one. I wish I could get delved into this, but I have to do this stereo. But I just wanted to rebut a little bit because that is my area of expertise.
Save that map and have a look at it. It it's an old map, but it's the way that people picture these things coming together in an order. I suppose
this is right up my alley. That's all. This is the stuff I love to talk about.
Shadow giants galore on that page. It's got length as a thing as well, like one of the light, time, mass, and length. Like length is one of the things within physics. Now, do you think at some point that length is going to change? Or whether that length is a straight line? Is that going to change really through the physics? Like modern day? And modern day people really going to come around and say, what we thought was straight back then, it's different straight now. I mean, it's the same in every proportion, but it's just different in the fact that, straight, we consider straight as being different.
I think as long as they push this pseudo-Riemannian or whatever it is called, this space-time, bendy space-time, so they will need to curve straight line. Yeah, I think it is for that.
Yeah, what they have to do is get people to be able to imagine a straight line being both the straight line and something else, with exactly the same proportions and all of the same physical aspects, but different. And that's modern society. That's 2024. That's where we're at.
Yeah, this is just imagination. You can imagine things that they are impossible to exist, and they will call them real or possible to be. And this is where this quantum physics is going. Not now, back in the day, like 50 years ago. This is not new thing. So for me, this Heisenberg, I think, this is principle of uncertainty. So this is, for me, it is as stupid as it sounds. How so ignorance is a principle, because if you are not certain, you don't know, and this is principle of his molecular on molecular level or whatever physics, that you don't know. You cannot know that what you see, it is what you see, because your apparatus is affecting this what you see. Therefore, you don't know if it is true or not. And this is principle of uncertainty. This Heisenberg idiot. And this is physics. You don't know, but you know. It's just nonsense. Stupidity. I hate this quantum physics because it's just pure nonsense for me.
Well, a lot of people, very clever people apparently, have said it is real. Oh, although to me, I'm with you, it does sound like nonsense, but we're not sort of physicists or whatever, theoretical physicists. Don't know whether they've tried to make that real or not. It seems full of contradictions. It took us a while to find Einstein on it. He seems to be branching out into the middle of the river.
Yes, because I don't see kinematics on these, but on there. But of course, you cannot say that you don't see wind, for example. And if you are at home, you don't feel anything. But you can say that there is a wind because leaves on the tree they are moving, for example. So you can see effect of this phenomenon that the wind is moving, the air is moving. So the same thing with magnetic field, for example. I don't know if it is field or not, but we clearly can see effect of magnetism. So it is something that is pulling or pushing both objects. So this is effect of something. So, but it's for me, it belongs to physical world. So when I said that it is visible, because it is just description of that, it does not mean that we are considering only one sense. So visible, it means that sensible, that we can sense some kind of. It doesn't matter what sense it is. It belongs to senses.
It's a what was I going to say? You corrected what I had an issue with very well. Thank you, paper.
Yes, but still, I wouldn't say that magnetism is spiritual because I cannot see magnetism itself in action. So this is, for example, like electricity, let's say. So I cannot touch electricity but I know that it works. So I have lights in the house, etc. So it works.
I'll disagree again because I've touched electricity and man, it hurts sometimes.
No, you touched metal or whatever, cable.
No. I seen the blue spark before I even got to the metal. I seen the blue spark touch my finger and it hurt.
Oh, okay, yes. So
I never even got to touch the metal. Before I touched the metal, I seen a blue light and it hurt.
Yes, I agree, but sometimes there is electricity in cable without the sparks. So there are no sparks because spark is because it is air between
me and the metal. Yeah. Yes, we're on the same page, paper. I just like to kind of clarify.
Yes, but still,
I'm sorry.
I think that magnetism belongs to physical world, but
so does electromagnetism.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, I'm off to work also.
Okay, thank you, paper.
So, good night. Thank you very much.
Good night. I think we're pretty much done for tonight anyway.
Hey. Can we maybe go with something really old?
What do you mean?
If you still got it, Nug Life.
Nug Life? I think we've got a Nug Life.
You still got it, man. I'll be on the YouTube.
Yeah, I don't know whether I've got it on the Buster though.
Whatever you got.
I don't think I did.
Not picky. Not picky. They're all my favorite.
Yeah, I don't think
I'll
I
probably
ever,
see you
I
guys
don't think I ever uploaded the Nog Life to this.
No, it's old.
Yeah, I know.
Years ago. Dang.
Yeah, we're gonna redo some of the songs. So, do you fancy a speaking part in some, Rob? You want to join us in that? I'm gonna do the insane. Nathan Oakley, just because he's done his yeah. Okay. Thanks for watching, everyone. It's been a good day. We will be going over more of this sort of stuff, exposing flat earthers, lying to flat earthers, telling them to do stupid things, fallacious arguments, nonsenses spoken. We're going to be pointing them out. I'm sure most people already know about it. Upsetting flat earthers. If you want to come and join the, people who can see the false dichotomy, you want to take a bit of heat from flat earthers. Although you may have friends who are flat earthers. You may have friends who are globe earthers. We try and be friendly to everybody, but unfortunately it doesn't seem like it's possible. You seem to upset them from saying certain things. Thanks for watching. We will be back. I'll put some more videos out. I've got quite a few recorded or whatever. So tomorrow, probably put a few more videos out, and we'll see you Free for All Friday. Thanks for watching.
I've been doing this for 4 fucking years. You didn't fucking get it by now. Get the fuck out of here.
Off to the rest of your spastics and tell them you can do nothing.
Yeah,
you
you
can, you stuttery. Yes, that's it. Fuck off. Go away. Tell people you can't do anything.
You're stupid globe and I know you'll never look back your claims.
Fuck off. Back to your spastic retard.
Yeah, whatever, Nathan. You're a genius.
That's my fucking argument and demonstration of being a spastic.
Demeaning our argument with statements like, you can do fuck all with an angle.
So communicating the angle of light is
What can you do with an angle?
Shut up. Bitch, shut your fucking mouth. Nobody was talking.
You shut the fuck up, Nathan.
I'll remove you if you don't shut up while I talk to Beth.
I will do what the fuck I like, Beth. You've been talking. You say to the North, fuck all with an angle, and then mention me in that. You are personally insulted. Therefore, I'm going to take a strip on you based on your ignorance of that angle. That's what I'm going to do. Or you stuff it. Okay? So that would be doing something with an angle, wouldn't it, then? Yeah, it would, you stupid fucking retard. So our problem isn't with you personally, it's with you being stupid. Not understanding that you can do something with an angle. An elevation angle measure can find your position on the flat plane. That's it. You don't understand this, and you're attempting to demean our argument. Statements of stupidity, like you can do fuck all with an angle. You can do lots with an angle, unless you're a fucking retard, like you. You can measure your position on Earth by way of elevation angles. That is doing something with an angle. Zero comprehension of the argument that we put across. Our responses to his claim.
Right, Bev, you can measure and find your position on the flat plane with an elevation angle.
Talk about your 2D surface.
It's called Adam Flat Earth Side.
You ain't got no purpose in life.
Fuckwits, you told you not explain the argument. The spastics I'm telling you to go back to. If they not comprehend the argument, put it across to you. You're surrounded by fucking retards then. Clearly, we have an argument. I'm giving it to you now.
Learn the fucking scientific method or get the fuck out of here.
Anybody want
Okay. I'm not surprised. Listen to you lot. You go fucking mental over a simple geometric fact. You've got a third of a triangle, and yet you're doing magic with it.
Adam, you're flat Earth society, mate.
Called Adam Flat Earth Society. Call QE, Owen, a wanker all you like, yeah? Okay, well, while Bev's here, I just want to say, if you're subscribed to Bev, you're a spastic like Bev, because he's going to make you stupid, like he's making all of us stupid. Unsubscribe to him immediately. Definitely don't give him any money, because the guy's a fucking retard. He's going to make you more stupid, and he's going to either be conveying his stupidity to you to soak up,
Adam,
or he's
you're
fucking
flat
lying
Earth
to you.
society, mate.
Either way, he's poison.
Flat Earth endorsement. Thank you very much,
Shut up,
Nathan.
Bev, while I tell my audience
Say
to
fuck off!
unsubscribe from you and never give you any money.
Oh,
Yeah,
telling your
that's what I'm
audience.
telling While I tell you to shut up, Bev, I'll tell my audience, you, Bev, are a fucking thicko, and nobody should be subscribed to you.
Just living in reality, Nathan. Don't worry.
Shut up while I tell my audience that you're fucking thick and they
Say fuck off!
Spoiled bitch. Excuse me, Daddy, you Adam Flat Earth side. Kick him out, he's a fucking retard. He doesn't belong here, he's a spastic. Another Adam. He's just done his attacks Andrew and me, and then Adam again with Adam. I haven't just called Bev a spastic. I called Adam Flat Earth side. Can't do anything with an angle. An angle will be acquired through a star and GP on a plane. That's an argument. It's an ad bomb.
I think you guys are having a communication problem.
No, then we fucking
Say fuck off!
dead area. Shut up! Everybody else, shut the fuck up. Free ad bomb.
Say fuck off!
Why do I get so
Yeah, you need
much
other things,
resistance? I know
when you oversimplify it down only, that means you don't understand the principle of celestial navigation. That's what we were pointing out there. I think you personally won't get a chance to talk about you as an individual. Like we give a fuck. Like we give a fuck about you and your personal problems that our people talk about. You are a wanker, and we will treat you like a wanker because that's how wankers get treated. Personally, well, this fucking stupid bitch attacks everybody personally. It's called Adam Flat Earth Society. Describes how the use of an angle to find your position on a flat plane when measuring it through the star of a singular angle at that point is useful because it will use the angle singular to support your position at sea on a plane. So that's an argument. It's not me just calling him thick like you just called Adam Flat Earth Society.
Sick of this shit! Not you, Nathan!
Understand? It was an argument against his assertion that you can do nothing with an angle. You can. You can save your life at sea by measuring that angle from the star. Called Adam Flat Earth Society. What does text do?
Measures angles.
You can do fuck all with an angle, Dad. He said you can do fuck all with an angle, and he is wrong.
Not you, Nathan. I'm talking to everyone.
And my fucking balls taste you unbelievable spastic.
Just an angle, Nathan. No need to get upset about it. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? Yeah.
Are we?
You can do fuck all with an angle.
I can demonstrate what you can do with an angle.
You've got one angle. What are you doing with it? What are you? How do you draw a circle with an angle? How do you draw a circle with an angle?
Understand? It was an argument against his assertion that you can do nothing with an angle. You can. You can save your life at sea by measuring that angle to the star. Communication of an angle that you've measured. That's not doing something with it, right, Bev? You fucking retard, you spastic, you dumbo, you thick fuck.
I did concede.
Shut up, Owen!
Not much.
You can do fuck all